Hi, my name is Mace. I do a lot of things at Expel, and one of the things that I do is I work very closely with prospects and customers on the technology investments they've made and how to make best use of those. And there's two reasons for that, right? Because it's actually kind of hard, right? And it really starts with the plumbing and getting everything right at the beginning. And you might be wondering, like, why is the plumbing the attractive part? I'll tell you why. It's two pieces. One, there is no Rosetta Stone, so it's not easy to go out there and just figure out how to get Defender ATP, talk it off to 365 to Azure. And so you have to really reverse engineer and break down to understand one thing: how to bring the security and signal in. Second thing you need to figure out is how do you arm them with the reverse pipe, which is how do I go back and talk to the Microsoft suite to do two things. One, identify what action needs to be taken once an alert fires. What do I need to do? And second is to investigate it, right? And once they're able to do those things effectively, you get to the third thing, which is what you really care about, is remediation.
One of the ways that we're going to really provide that immediate kind of time to value is around that scoping when it comes to an incident. So with this example, this is something that we got out of Azure AD Identity Protection. And as part of what we are going to surface to the analyst automatically, I will say automatically via Ruxy, this is one of our bots right here, is a bunch of additional context related to kind of authn patterns for this user.
At the end of the day, what matters with our Microsoft integration is that we're taking these events and tying them together with correlation and additional enrichment to tell you which one of these events actually matter. So if we dive into this really quick, the first thing that stands out to me is that this is an Azure Active Directory Protection event, meaning we're likely looking at some kind of risky sign-in that needs to be addressed. And why risky sign-ins matter is because normally these are going to represent someone traveling across the globe in some way that's not humanly possible. So if we scroll down a little bit, a couple of things start to stand out to us. First and foremost, our automation identified that the source country that this is being logged in from is actually Nigeria. Now, if we dig down, we have a little bit more information about the username and some of the ways in which they authenticated to your platform. But down here, we start to pull in a lot more information from the actual logs themselves to give our analysts the answers they need before we even need to ask the questions. If we go back 30 days, we can understand how many times this user has authenticated from different countries around the world. One of them being, we can notice all of a sudden that normally they log in from the United States. If we scroll down a little bit more, we can see the time of day that they normally log in. This is all information that normally would have to be gathered from the raw log source itself, timelined through in kind of a very manual process, but we bring those things right into Workbench, we graph them, we make these pretty diagrams, so these are very easy to see and these are very easy to understand by virtually anyone that has access to Workbench.
In this example, we saw a crisis popping off on a particular host. Scoping showed us that it was on a number of other hosts in the environment, and so we were able to tell the customer, this is exactly what you need to do. Now, the other part that we're going to focus on is making sure that you get resilience recommendations. So when we see an incident take place, we're going to call out any controls that we would recommend you enable to prevent that activity moving forward. And all of these interactions are not just taking place in the Workbench platform, but we're also working with you in your MS Teams instance. So those remediation actions are going to show up in your Teams channel, and then those resilience recommendations, whenever we find them, they're also going to show up there. So this is intended to provide you with flexibility. You don't have to log into the Workbench platform. You're more than welcome to, and this is where you can essentially follow along and see our work, and you can see all of the specifics when it comes to a findings report, which we want to write in as plain English as possible because we know you probably have to share this with management or your board or with other audiences. But if you want to really dig into the specifics of what the SOC did and what the analysts are doing through the investigative process, you can see that as well.
So we've got a number of our existing and potential customers adopting the Microsoft suite. We've invested heavily in enabling Workbench to enhance that suite. And we believe by doing those two things, we've created the easy button for leveraging the Microsoft suite to protect your environment. And we'd love to show you that, so contact us for a demo.